Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, Blue Marble Riders. I've been thinking, who should own a hyper-naked bike? I love choice. The marketplace is amazing for bikes right now. All sorts of bikes, all sorts of genres, all sorts of CCs, all shapes, all sizes. Fantastic. And the bike you pick can be based on all sorts of different things. How it makes you feel, and I would say that's probably one of the biggest ones. How it rides, and of course the image it creates. So there are a bunch of bikes out there with 200 plus horsepower. We've got the Kawasaki ZH2, we've got the DUCATI V4 Panigale, we've got the Tuono, you know, we've even got the BMW S1000RR, all sorts of bikes. Then there's the KTMs, and I don't have a problem with those bikes. They're definitely track bikes that can be ridden on the road. There's a purpose for them, and I can see a 2-for-1 deal. One, you can ride them to the track, and then you can have a great deal of fun. But my issue is, what is the purpose of a hyper-naked, the Street Fighter? I mean, not a moderately sized Street Fighter. I'm talking bikes like, well, Ducati's V4 Street Fighter, the Kawasaki ZH2, the Aprilia Tuono, the BMW S1000R, and of course, some people will say the king among kings, the KTM SUPERDUKE 1290R just released. And I can't stop thinking about the fact that here I have a 110, 120 horsepower bike. It's basically naked, and I don't use half of this performance most of the time. On the highway, I'm probably using 25 horsepower. And around corners like this, stuck behind a vehicle like this, not very much either. But these are the sorts of roads it's made for, and for that, it works really, really well. Would I need any more horsepower than what I have on here at present? No. No way. I would not need any more horsepower than I have on this bike. This has more than enough horsepower for me to have a great deal of fun on these roads. I don't think there's a rider alive that is going to use more horsepower on these roads and get away walking away from it. Don't need any more. Can't use most of it. If this was my only bike, then I've got adequate horsepower, more than adequate horsepower to go down the highway. Would I want to? Probably not for more than about an hour. After about an hour, this bike is going to get tiresome. I have a V-Strom for that, and if I'm going to go for longer than an hour and a half, I'm taking the V-Strom, because at the end of the ride I'm going to feel more comfortable. I'm going to enjoy the last part of the ride more than I will on this one, and I'm going to be able to ride back and look forward to it. And so those hyper-nakeds are pushed by the media, by YouTube channels, as the ultimate street machine. Not track, but the alternative for the baby boomer who no longer is able to tolerate the discomfort of a Panigale or something more focused for the track. If you can't tolerate that, then what you should do, according to most of those media outlets or YouTube channels, is hop on hyper naked, have some fun on the street, blatting around like that with your 200 horsepower. Save yourself a chunk of change. Buy 2 bikes, 2 smaller bikes, I don't know, something like this, and a touring bike. And so I come back to that question, is who is it that's going to buy a Ducati V4 Street Fighter? Hopefully your best friend, because if you're going to buy it and you want to use that for this, fair enough. If you want to use it for the track, you should have got a Panigale. And if you want to use it for long distance cruising, if you're even thinking about a hypersport, I want you to do me a favor before you buy one. I want you to gather the family round, and I want you to sit down with your crash helmet and leathers on, in a chair. I want you to get your wife or significant other, whoever that may be, to roll up a newspaper and gently at first tap your helmet, your visor, the top of your helmet, just a tap, tap, tap. I want your siblings or your other friends to grab some broomsticks and gently start poking you here and here, perhaps syncopated, one, then the other, back to the, oh, what? Do that. And then have another friend turn your stereo up to white noise, about 100 decibels. And I want you to go to your happy place. I want you to see how long you can last in your happy place while that's happening. Because my guess is that it won't be for very long. I'm thinking that rather like I am now, you'll start to think perhaps going more slowly would be a plan. Simply because it's fucking uncomfortable. Okay, let's roll off a little bit. Just because, well, it's legal, and two, it was uncomfortable. That's my point. Who's going to buy a Hyper Naked? Hopefully, your best friend. You get to buy something that can tolerate, and that you can tolerate, more aspects of riding. You can cruise fast like we were just doing, but comfortably. Or you can rip around the urban environment on something light, more highly geared perhaps, something more flickable, and have a lot more fun for a lot less money. Perhaps for that one Hyper Naked, you can buy two lovely bikes that are far more adaptable, and still buy the insurance for both of them and walk away ahead. Think about it. Well, that's why I say there's a place for them in your friend's garage. But you should definitely think more carefully about whether you can live long term with one of those bikes. What do you think? I'd love to hear your ideas, your comments below. Tell me, who should own a Hyper Naked? In my opinion, it's your best friend. What do you think? Thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell. This is the BlueMarbleRider, out.
Once again, thanks for watching, everyone. If this is the first time you've watched, please consider subscribing. I do product reviews, motorcycle reviews, off-road and on-road vlogs, as well as tours. Don't forget to follow me on social media, that's Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, and to like, and especially, I'm begging you here folks, subscribe. This is the BlueMarbleRider, out.